the Dirty Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Prano. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Port Hueneme, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Andy.
You're in.
I'm in.
You're in.
Okay.
Is that
I
what you
said
asked?
hello, Andy. No. I just said hello, Andy.
I thought you said, am I in? Girls normally ask me that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's in. It ain't that big. It's in.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like delayed and it kind of messed up the sound.
I didn't hear the song because there's no rhyme or reason to any of this ever.
Well,
Just
I lost you again. Guys, he's gonna do sign language this episode, and
I'll be right.
I'm just, yeah, you leave and go back. All right, so Joe's gonna leave and come back. You guys are gonna be stuck with me for a few minutes on this lovely Thursday. Quick heads up, I do have, like, my voice isn't that good. I've been battling a lot of stuff going on here at my house. So my voice was basically gone this morning. So you guys can probably tell it's pretty raspy. So the struggle bus is real, but I'll get through it. We'll get through it. So I might be doing a little less talking today just for the show. You there, Prano?
Yeah. And you know what's funny? You're like, I'm going to do a little less talking. And meanwhile, my mic refuses to turn on. So I don't know if you are going to be doing less talking, Andy.
Yeah. Are you connected to your mic right now?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't know why, though. Never ends. Never ends.
We don't have a tech guy.
Should be now.
Yeah, you're good.
Let's see if it lasts.
So like what are the problems? Like, why is it disconnecting?
Just sitting here doing the podcast, not touching anything, hands in my lap, and then all of a sudden it's like,
yeah, but
your mic's disconnected.
You shouldn't have to be walking on needles, pins and needles.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And you know what's funny is, like, I literally changed my setup today because I was sick of this happening, and now it's happening worse.
Man.
One day I'll get a computer that works.
Do you think it's a computer?
I don't know.
It's weird though, because again, you
know what I think it is.
I'm an Apple guy. I'm just saying, I've never had problems.
You know what it is? The thing that we use to connect the USB thing, it's like always that motherfucker.
Just get a new one.
Okay.
Right? Just get a new one.
Sure. Maybe there's these mics that connect to, like, the lightning port or something like that.
Well, so no, there are. So there are now. So I mean, I got that same. I know what you're saying. I have to use that same one.
The Solar.
Yes.
Fucking thing.
I got that same one. It's sensitive.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive. We'll make it work though. We always do.
Week 10, Andy.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It's already here. Big. Finally, we got. I feel the games have been. Although last week's game was good, the Texans Jets, right? I think we got a decent game tonight with Ravens Bengals division, so it should be good on paper.
Where are you at with your Ravens and your Bengals?
What do you mean? Nothing has changed, in my opinion. The Bengals, but the Ravens don't have a defense.
You know what's, Andy? We need to talk about this because I need to talk about what's behind even the what's behind mentally the people who send me these messages, but then also I need to talk about it in general. So, do you have an outstanding bet, correct, that Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow will not win a Super Bowl together in Cincinnati?
Correct.
And does that have a time limit on it?
No, that was a
Basically, if one of them leaves Cincinnati, somebody pays up kind of thing. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
assuming they don't.
the
We're
truth
all
is,
figuring they don't reconnect later on in their career in Cincinnati. And
yeah, correct. The truth is, this bet was made with one of my brother's good friends on text who has a close connection with, or his family with Zach Taylor. I don't want to say close, but it's more of, it was a biased bet and there was a lot of shit talking.
so, to be clear,
Like I guarantee he doesn't even remember the bet.
interesting. You have screenshots, though, I'm assuming.
Well, if I don't, my brother does.
This bet was made after the Cincinnati Bengals made the Super Bowl versus the Rams.
No. Here's what's
Wow.
crazy. This bet was made before the playoffs that year.
Wow.
Hence, during that Super Bowl, I said to so many people, I can't believe this is going to happen. And then I said, like, I can't believe they're making the Super Bowl. But I said, this is his one shot. He got it right away.
So you don't believe the making the Super Bowl by Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, and the Bengals, they lost, obviously, but you don't believe now that your bet is any more in jeopardy than it was before they made the Super Bowl?
I believe that he had his shot, or as far as the bet's concerned, and not just him. I believe the Bengals, and whatever the relationship with Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor, but I don't even really care about Zach Taylor. I believe Joe Burrow had his shot at a Super Bowl, his one shot, just like Boomer Esiason did, just like Ken Anderson did. Those are the three best quarterbacks in Bengals history. They all had one shot, and they all lost.
So Zach Taylor, head coach of the Bengals. Zach Taylor, play caller for the Bengals. Zach Taylor leads the Bengals to a Super Bowl. And you're not a believer in Zach Taylor and the Bengals.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to get that out there because I don't believe in the Detroit Lions, who have never made a Super Bowl, only made an NFC Championship game, and their coach coached them out of that game. So I'm not really sure where the anger and the vitriol come from Detroit fans in my DMs who are like, admit that they can win this. I'm like, why has Andy Ruther gone on the show for 3 full years and
4.
said, I don't believe in a team that made the Super Bowl, but
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
okay,
allowed to
yeah.
not believe in a team that didn't make the Super Bowl?
Well, I personally would have more faith. I do. I have more faith in Dan Campbell's coaching ability, again, because
Even though Zach Taylor made a Super Bowl and Dan Campbell personally coached himself out of a Super Bowl.
Well, I'd have to go back in that game, depending on a few questionable calls by the coach. What exactly did he do? Like, I'm not saying he's not responsible. What I'm saying is I have more faith in a Campbell guy because he doesn't have as much control because he's not calling the plays.
All I'm saying is I don't understand. It's like, where does let me tell you what I think. Let me do a little dime store psychology. Here's why it hasn't happened yet. I have been wrong 2, maybe 3 times in the history of this show. And when that's happened, I admit it. Okay? It hasn't happened yet.
Well,
so this idea that the Lions have won the Super Bowl and I was wrong, and now I must admit that I was wrong, is ludicrous. And guess what? The reason that you guys want it is because you're scared that you're wrong. And you know that I know more than you do. So you're looking for some sense of security from me, who knows the game better than you, that your team's going to be okay. Just admit we're going to be okay, Brado. Admit that Dan Campbell might get us a Super Bowl. Just admit it. I need the security. Be a fan of your team. If your team wins the Super Bowl, I will admit I was wrong. What is the issue with that?
Well, I think the issue is, and I think we addressed this last episode, is that we were wrong in that just the same way I was wrong about Zach Taylor. The franchises have turned around. Like the Bengals made a Super Bowl.
Okay.
I was wrong in that.
So would you say
the Lions
would you again
are not dog shit anymore?
Again,
we were wrong.
Again, let's take this in the vacuum. Leave the Lions off to the side. The Bengals, who, if they lose tonight, their playoff chances will dwindle to like 13%. And they made and lost the Super Bowl. The Bengals have been turned around.
Well,
Andy Dalton, your hatred of the Bengals during the Andy Dalton, Marvin Lewis era, they're winning 10, 11 games every year. Now that they made a Super Bowl and are a below 500 team, they have been turned around.
Well, let me just say this. So they made a Super Bowl, then they make an NFC Championship. Now, if they don't make the playoffs again, this would be 2 years in a row with no playoffs. So I was wrong. I was adamant on this show, to friends, to family, whoever it was. I was adamant they would never win a playoff game as long as Mike Brown was alive, their owner. And I was wrong. And I took my lumps and I lost some bets and I was wrong. So in that case, 100% I'm wrong. Now, turning around a franchise, you bring up an interesting point, especially if they don't make the playoffs again this year. You definitely have a case. Their current head coach is in his 6th year. He's 8 games below 500. Fun fact, Marvin Lewis coached 16 years. They never won a playoff game. He was above 500 when he left the Bengals. So,
and the guy who's under 500 is one that's turned the team around.
That's what I'm saying. So it's an interesting discussion, that's for sure.
I have been pretty adamant and pretty consistent in the history of this podcast, and spoiler, in the history of my football fandom, since I had a fully developed brain and started to really understand the game of football prior to doing this show. This is a Super Bowl or bust league. We can go through history and I can show you the Jaguars with Blake Bortles. The team was not turned around. The franchise had not been turned around then, because you made an AFC championship game and lost. The Detroit Lions might be turned around. You might be.
So I guess we're asking for the definition. Turnaround, is that some sustained longevity?
I don't know what the fuck turnaround is.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that, let's say,
let's say
is that a 5-year run of like, dude, they're literally in a Super Bowl or a championship game 4 out of 5 years. Is that turned around?
Or just like you make the playoffs for, the better part of a decade, or also you win a Super Bowl and completely disappear off the face of the earth and go back to being fucking dog shit, because it's a Super Bowl or bust league. So win a Super Bowl or consistently whatever. But here's the thing is, like, I don't know why you guys give a shit that I don't care.
No, but again, let me ask you this. Do you think it's because we clowned, and we were both guilty, clowning so hard on Dan Campbell and the Lions?
And then
And now they're good.
And then the Lions abused their fans in a different way. They got to the NFC Championship game. They blew a lead, a rather large lead, and they blew it with Mr. Grit going for it on 4th down. The 49ers are like, oh, God, well, we had to face the turned around Lions, and here we are in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm pulling up, just looking at the box score. I mean, they're up 24-7 at half. They did blow it. That was a significant lead. Let me ask you this then. As we are entering the second half of the regular season, if I asked you, you can only give me one team. Who is your NFC team to make the Super Bowl?
Probably the Lions.
Okay.
But guess what? You know why I say probably the Lions and not probably the Chiefs? Because the Lions have never once proven to me that they can do it. In fact, they got there last year and blew it. So there is a part of me that's like, you are clowning yourself saying the Lions. My point is this. The Lions fans want this conversation to be over. But as a Bengals fan, sort of, you're like, this conversation is very much not over just because we made the Super Bowl. And it's like, cool. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I
think it's insecurity. I think you guys want somebody who you think it's like you want me to say that you've turned it around, because then you too will believe you've turned it around.
Well, I think if I can put on my psychologist hat, I think that there is definitely fact. Like, I agree with a lot of that. I see it. So for me, I think Detroit and Cincinnati are very, in a lot of ways, mere franchises. Location, similar part of the country. They were terrible forever. Now, the Bengals, at least, like you said, under Marvin Lewis, had consistently winning teams, consistently playoff making teams. The Lions never had that. So the Bengals were actually a step above Detroit. But I do think these franchises fail. I'm sorry, the fan bases of a lot of franchises fail to understand history. And I love history, just regardless, sports, pop culture, whatever, politics, whatever it is. Like, I'm interested. Like, you got to follow history, and history tells me. I would agree with you. History would say to me the same way. My opinion on, let's say, the Browns or the Clippers. It's the same. I was like, well, history tells me Clippers have never made a NBA Finals. So I'm like, I'm gonna bet against you until you do. It's following the same kind of mindset. So turning it around is, but like let's bring up the Chiefs real quick. The history of the Chiefs was, and I don't know if you watched any of the Manning cast with Jason Sudeikis, and I thought he brought up a great point.
I did not.
They were talking about, because Sudeikis is from Kansas City, and he was on. They brought him actually back on the show for overtime, which was kind of fun. But anyway, they talked about, it's great being a Chiefs fan, and Sudeikis was like, dude, I grew up in Kansas City. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
We didn't win a playoff game for how many? Like, that is my grade school, high school. That's all I had. Like, we have Mahomes now, but the history, again, is a great model looking at Kansas City. The history is they never won a playoff game. And then they finally win one with Alex Smith. And then Mahomes comes here, and they have obviously been turned around. But I agree.
It's what's funny is the Lions fans are in the same position that I am as a Mets fan. Now, we made the World Series in 2015. It's a different game. Football and baseball are a different game. But we have a new owner. We have a new GM. We make the NLCS. We lose to the team that ends up being the champs. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, well, that's it. We'll just be in the NLCS every year. World Series every year. We finished third in the division or second in the division in a play-in game on the last day of the season. Phillies won the division. We have had a bonus game against the Braves. That's it. It's over. Manager's locked in. Ownership's great. Mark us down for the playoffs every single year from now till eternity. It definitely wasn't a fluke season. We're some gigantic purple goof. Just happened to inspire the team. Grimace and Dan Campbell have a lot in common.
So I just to kind of wrap up this discussion, I feel like we're both in agreement that to turn it around, you just need some sort of sustained.
You need to hoist the trophy, or you need some sort of consistent winning.
Yeah. It's either Super Bowl or you're consistently.
Also, Lions fans, when you guys win the Super Bowl, I'll say I was wrong. Like, what do you think? I'm not going to say I was wrong. I said I was wrong about the fucking Eagles. So, and by the way, I deal with very similar fan base. I deal with Eagles fans all the time. Oh, you don't believe in us? I go, you got to the Super Bowl. Your quarterback single-handedly turned the game over to them. You lost. The chances of you going back aren't good. You lost your offensive coordinator. You lost your defensive coordinator. You're not the same team. You kind of didn't belong there in the first place. Like, what do you want from me?
Why didn't they belong there in the first place?
Because I don't think that they were good enough, and they lost.
They had a great year that year.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy got hurt on the third play of the game in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I mean, look, but you know how it is. We can play that game.
No, I'm saying, but all I'm
that
saying
was a fun Super Bowl.
Yeah,
all
I'm saying is the team that has appeared in the Super Bowl, 4 out of the last whatever year, besides the Rams year, lost their quarterback. Their third string quarterback, by the way, that year. And listen, that's a testament to the Eagles. They got to him. They got him hurt. But I was just like, you weren't the best team in the NFC.
Well, look, I think when it comes to the Lions, we just had the trade deadline. They're obviously all in. They added who they added. They added who's the edge rusher they added? Zadarius Smith.
Yep.
So it's like, obviously they got to at least attempt. They're not going to make up fully, but attempt to make up for the Aiden Hutchinson injury. Look, it 100% is Super Bowl or bust for the league, but also for the Lions this year. And I'll argue this to Lions fans. I know you haven't made the Super Bowl, but to me, a Super Bowl appearance is still a loss for you guys. Like your team is so, like, it's so well-rounded. Your goal has to be win, not just appear, win a Super Bowl if you're a Lions fan. End of story. Like that's where the bar is, which by the way is a good thing. You've gotten to this bar. Like I always say that with these franchises, right? The Bengals were a dumpster fire. Marvin Lewis got them to consistent playoffs. Now they make a Super Bowl. And you're right. Like that's a great question. Let's say a franchise like the Bengals doesn't make a playoffs this year. Then you look at it and you say, oh, wait a second. He's coached for 6 years. They've made the playoffs twice. Those were both deep runs, but you don't want to be making the playoffs twice in 6 years. That's zero consistency.
Listen, I'm a Giants fan. That's the MO for the Giants my whole life.
Under Eli, especially.
Under Eli, even back on, is like the great year, the down year, the great year, the down year, the whatever. But here's the difference. The Detroit Lions, with their NFC Championship game last year, have now lost more NFC Championship games than the Giants have lost. The Giants are 5-0 in NFC Championship games. You go deep in the playoffs, you're going to the Super Bowl. The Giants are 4-1 in Super Bowls. You go deep in the playoffs, you have a very good shot of winning the Super Bowl.
I didn't know the Giants never lost an NFC championship. But correct me if I'm wrong, Eli only won playoff games during those 2 Super Bowl runs, correct?
Yep. And I think had, one and done's like maybe 3 times.
Which is interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I know the NFL trades aren't as big as the other sports, but was there anything that you're like, well, first of all, when we talked about the DeAndre Hopkins, I mean,
Yeah.
2 touchdowns
Yeah.
on Monday Night Football after his first full week of practice with the team. And again, you didn't watch, but I do love the Manning cast because they give such great insight. Peyton kept saying that from his conversations with him, with DeAndre, and with Patrick Mahomes, he said they already have a connection. And he goes, watch it. And he was showing it. He goes, and Peyton was going, that's so hard to get when you just get a guy. He said they already get each other, just the eye contact. There's a feel basically that they have.
I think part of it with Mahomes, and I did watch the game. I just stupidly was watching the Knicks game as well, and I was stupidly switching back and forth. It was an easy. If there's one thing we got to fix about streaming, we need a last button, because it was an easier swap over for me to go to ESPN than it was to go to ESPN2. And therefore, I literally totally forgot about the Manning cast. For the most part, obviously, Patrick Mahomes has had Travis Kelce. He hasn't had veteran, good, former Pro Bowl veteran receivers. You even look at the guys they brought in, like a Juju Smith-Schuster. It's like he was good on Pittsburgh. He was in
1 year, 2 years.
and he was also in year 4 in the league or something like that, year 3 in the league. He hasn't had a guy who knows all the tricks of the trade and can do it at a high, he's not his former self, but that is elevated by the fact the quarterback's doing a lot of the work. And so I don't even know if it's a connection as much as Patrick Mahomes is like, I have a guy who's played in the NFL for 10 years.
Yeah, that's true. And I felt like, especially on that second touchdown, you saw that. And the Chiefs, it's odd. I've never seen a team that's won in any sport that's won back-to-back titles vying for a three-peat. That in a weird way, I'm going to say it, I think the Chiefs have been getting disrespected and almost under the radar. Not on our show, but again, they don't matter. But I see a lot of these power rankings from ESPN or The Athletic or whatever, and a lot of them don't have the Chiefs at 1. And I just go, most of them have the Lions, and I just laugh. I just laugh at that. I go, how?
This kind of ties into our first conversation. On paper, whatever, the Lions are a more talented team or something. I don't know. Whatever makes those power rankings, right? But to me, and this is essentially the conversation we were just having, the playoffs are different.
They are.
And you can say, and we've seen, think about how many teams we've seen historically over the years where it's like, for example, get your drinks ready. I'm going to mention an Eli Manning win, but the 15-1 Green Bay Packers. We have seen teams, the playoffs are different. You being the best team in your division or you're the best team in your conference, it doesn't mean anything unless you're ready to go into the playoffs. Maybe have to play a road game if you're not the 1 seed. Maybe have to play outside if you're whatever. Now, right now, are the Lions currently the 1 seed?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. You might have home field the whole time, right? And maybe you play in a dome the whole time because you get to go to New Orleans. But the playoffs are different.
And look, I agree.
I don't give a shit. I have more faith, like I did last year, in the Chiefs with their quarterback, their coach, and their experience having to play 3 road games than I do a team like the Lions. I'm not calling about this team specifically, but a team like the Lions in their second year of playoffs, just waltzing through all their home games on the way to New Orleans.
And you bring up a good point there, and I think that's the reason a lot of these websites or media outlets have the Chiefs behind the Lions, because the Lions are just crushing teams, and the Chiefs are in dogfights every game. We saw it again against the Bucs. Every game they're in dogfights, and I would argue that actually helps them.
But the Chiefs are going to get everybody's best game.
Yeah,
they're a dynasty.
And the playoffs are a different animal, especially defensively.
That doesn't mean that the Super Bowl this year isn't going to be Lions-Bills, or that the Super Bowl this year isn't going to be fucking Commanders-Chargers. Like the crazy shit.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Crazy shit happens, right? The Austin Eckler game. Crazy shit happens in the playoffs. But I'm just saying, from a gambling standpoint, and I don't mean like putting money on it, but like in my head, when I look at the value on teams, no one's going to bet the Chiefs because like something still has to go right. A lot of things have to go right for the Lions or the Packers or the Eagles or the Rams or the whoever, Vikings, to make the Super Bowl. Something has to go wrong for the Chiefs to not make the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it, for sure. I think Monday night's game was a classic example of why you don't bet against the Chiefs. And it's also a reason why at the end.
By the way, you could bet against the Chiefs. Just make sure you're getting points, because they're playing every game fucking close. I don't know how many games they've covered. Probably not that many.
Yeah, I don't think that many at all. But Monday is a prime example to me. I don't understand. I don't know how Todd Bowles doesn't go for 2 at the end. Right, you're 8.5, 9.5, whatever it was, point dogs on the road. You cannot. How many times are we going to see this? You just cannot give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. You just can't.
The road team's not doing that. Is dumb.
You agree, right? Like you go for 2 at the end,
dude. If I was a coach
on the road against Mahomes, come on.
If I was a football coach and I was interviewing for a job with the GM, I'd be like, I need you to know something. Sitting there with the president of football operations, I need you to know something. We come down to tie the game on the road, end of regulation. I'm going for 2 every time. Also, while I'm here, there's some ludicrous fucking nerd out there who lives in a bunker and has probably never worn a helmet other than the one he needed because of his cranium being distorted when he came out of his mother's birth canal. That says late in the fourth quarter, if we score to pull the game within a touchdown, I have to go for 2. I am against this. I will not be doing it. And you can tell fucking Chicken Little, whoever came up with this, to fucking kill themselves. I gotta see the numbers on this. I gotta see the numbers on down 2 touchdowns, score, must go for 2. I gotta see. It's gotta be 20%. They gotta get 20% of the time.
Yeah.
But you see here, what it does is it greatly increases your chances of winning. If you get the second touchdown, then you can just kick it and win the game. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, if it's a dogfight at the end of the game and they score, and then you got to score again, now you're playing some weird chase 2-point conversions game.
Yeah, I don't mind going for 2, but it's got to be the right situation.
That would actually be the most right situation based on my analysis. There's no other time that's more right. If by right you mean exponentially safer than others. Kill yourself. It's like teams. It's just analytics hates the idea of momentum. They hate the idea that if you actually only have to get 1 2-point conversion in that situation. So if you don't even get the first one, you still only need to get 1. Now you tie the game. Yeah, and guess what? You know how much better the other team feels now knowing that not only do you have to score late in the game to tie the game, then you have to convert a 2-point conversion?
Well, I'm glad you brought out the word momentum. I was just about to say that. And that's where I feel the quote unquote, if you even call them that, I guess, old school coaches are right. You don't see a Jim Harbaugh who's like, hey, man, I got the top ranked points per game defense. I'm not going for 2. I'm going to trust my running game and my defense. But you see some wild go for 2s. And your boy Sirianni is like he's number 1, where you're just like, what? What are you doing? Leaves your head scratching.
And it goes the other way too.
Statistically, it says we have come back late on the road to win to tie the game. It's raining. If you actually look at our expected yards per snap in the fourth quarter, we are dominating the Chiefs. It's actually in our favor to extend this game. The longer we play, the better chance we have of winning.
And then everybody who knows football goes, "You're not getting the ball back. Patrick Mahomes is going to score."
Yeah.
But I mean, cool story, bro.
But you know why I think here's my reason on that. I think a lot of the analytics, it's so pervasive in social media, especially with fanboys who have followings, right? You can really it's you can spin it in your way.
And those type of people are the type of people who are in the press room with you after the game and go, yeah, the book says you should go for it here.
But that's my point. Like you see these guys on Twitter and they're like, well, if you break down the EPA, like the truth is, I don't even to me, I don't know about you, I don't know what half these acronyms even stand for. When people start breaking down all these numbers in football. But I do know, like you said, I don't want to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, whether that's with 30 seconds left or 3 timeouts, even before overtime, to me is insane. And then you have a 1 out of 2 chance of him getting the ball to start overtime. So I don't care what the numbers say. But all these guys want to break this stuff down. They want to ignore the eye test, which is still a thing. I don't know. Can we we'll go back to picks here.
Okay.
Can I pivot real quick?
Sure.
A little NBA.
Sure.
Did you watch any of the Warriors Celtics game last night?
A very little bit.
I guess my question to you would be,
what was Jason Tatum doing on the last play?
Well, there's that.
And
but also,
I have answers on the show, but I have no answers to that.
Okay, so you have no answers for that. I guess my other question to you would be, the Warriors are off to a great start.
Yeah.
Celtics, obviously defending champs. Like, I know it's early. Like, is this an early preview of a possible finals? Is my question.
I mean, the West is. Listen, you can, as far as the East goes, with the Celtics playing the way they have, the fact that they have they're once again playing without Porzingis, who, is now just the, Latvian Shaquille O'Neal, where they're like, it's cool. We'll see you in March. Get healthy. Rest your fucking unicorn legs. Just be good to go when we need you. And he's like, okay. You can, like I said about the Chiefs, sure, my Knicks that are not looking fantastic so far. The Sixers are 1-7 at this point, or 2-6. I don't know. Did they lose last night?
1-6.
Yeah. The Bucks, not great. It feels like something has to go wrong for the Celtics. The West is certainly more wide open than it's been. I'll be honest, it definitely feels, and this is, my 2-week start of the season. It's like the Warriors are off to a good start. I don't necessarily know that they've got the ammunition, but at the same time, if there was a year to sneak through, it's this one. I would pencil in the Celtics right now. And even though the Warriors have the pedigree, I'm not sure I'm penciling them in from the West just yet. Now, we're coming off a year where no one expected the Mavericks to be in there. If I had to pencil in a team, I'm probably penciling in the Thunder. They're just so goddamn deep. But they don't have that experience. I don't know. We shall see. But
you just said it with the NFL. I mean, it's the same for the NBA. Playoffs, dude. Experience.
Yeah.
Matters.
But the Thunder have, they're in the building of that experience. They're the Lions-ish team where it's like we're getting a little playoff sea legs.
Yeah.
I just think that they're in the NBA now. We've the Batman and Robin, the big three, all this stuff. It's all been left in the dust. It is a distant memory now, and we have returned gloriously to depth. Everybody being able to shoot. I went out of my way last episode, not because I knew it would trigger some people, not to mention Mike D'Antoni is, one of the great head coaches we've seen in the last. And to be fair, he didn't win, so it's hard to put him in the elite class.
I thought you were going to mention him. I was surprised.
But my God, we're back. It's like the era of spread the floor. Everybody's got to be able to make that shot, which is, by the way, what the Warriors, the Warriors are the ones who perfected that model. And that was something that, you remember one of their assistant coaches shouted out D'Antoni when they won their first ring, but they've perfected that model and they have found their way back to that where it's like, everybody's got to be able to shoot. Everybody at this point, the pick and rolls, the switching, the spreading the floor, you need that depth. And the Warriors have it, but the Thunder have it in spades.
Gotcha. Has anything surprised you early on?
The Warriors?
I mean, the Warriors.
I didn't believe in the Paul George to the I didn't believe in Paul George to the Sixers. So am I shocked that they're 1-6? I'm not shocked. I'm surprised that obviously Paul George hasn't played. I'm surprised that they're this bad. Not that surprised, but that's been shocking. The Bucks being bad has been shocking. The Knicks being mediocre has been, I wouldn't say shocking, because obviously you have two major new pieces in the starting lineup. It's going to take a second, but they've lost 2 games in a row here to the Hawks and the Rockets. I believe they were both on the Rockets was for sure on the road. I'm wondering if they went back home for that or not yesterday, but shocking to me that there's those kind of, and listen, the Rockets are kind of a sneaky team, but a bit surprised to be losing those games at this point in the year. Other I mean, the Lakers have come back down to earth. They got off to a really hot start to start the year. I don't think that was shocking. It was also a very short sample size, but I don't think I'm surprised by how impressive JJ Redick has been so far, but I'm impressed at how impressive he's been.
How's it worked out so far with Karl Anthony Towns of the Knicks? Is it still just feeling it out process?
It is, but there's been moments just of absolute offensive bliss, where you can see the difference between Randall and Karl Anthony Towns is you can just see in moments in the Heat game, in glimpses, that this team's offensive ceiling is much higher with him than it was with Randall. I think, like you said, there was a sorting it out process, where in the first couple games, like 9% of Jalen Brunson's passes were going to Karl Anthony Towns or something like that. And it's like, well, you're not feeding the dude. And then they had like a couple game stretch, including a big game he had in Miami where like 60% of his passes were going to Karl Anthony Towns. And they were really working that pick and roll thing. I don't know. Obviously, I don't have Tibbs on speed dial or anything right now. I don't know if part of the, and listen, I think they're 3 and 4. It's not, I don't want to say this is like dire struggle, but I don't know if part of this is like, hey, we got to play a certain way and figure it out, even if we're losing games while we figure it out, because in the long run, it's going to make us a more dangerous team, or if they just haven't figured stuff out yet.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, like you said, it's early in the season, and that's going to be a huge adjustment for him. I think these players, just the mental aspect of when you go to the Knicks and when they expectate, like there hasn't been an expectation. Well, I'll ask you, like, when's the last time someone had an expectation like this to propel the Knicks to a title? Like a free agent acquisition. When's the last time that happened?
Yeah, I don't.
Can you think of one? I can't.
Not in my lifetime.
Right? Yeah, like not in our lifetime.
Like the Knicks just have never done that, and that's kind of here's the crazy thing with the Karl Anthony Towns thing. I think it was a great move. On paper, it was a great move. There's still there's those moments where it's like, God damn it, I wish we had Dante DiVincenzo, right? But they raised their ceiling. The weird part about it is, yes, a healthy Knicks team. I don't think, and what we're seeing from Philly is kind of prove that. I don't think Philly is going to be a team is going to push us to 5 games in the playoffs or 6 games. I don't think Indiana, who they lost to in the playoffs, are nearly the talented team that the Knicks are. But in the end, the Celtics are there. Like, it doesn't elevate you. Like, the Knicks are not better on paper than the Celtics. Now, the game isn't played on paper. So that is where you get into the question of, like, are they struggling offensively because Tibbs knows they have to play a sort of game to beat the Celtics that they got to figure out how to master, whether it's losing, games in October or November or not. Unless they play this style, they're not beating the Celtics. Okay, I can hear that, but they're not better on paper than the Celtics. The Celtics are the defending champs, incredibly deep, play a great style of play for the modern NBA. Don't have Porzingis right now. So the idea that Karl Anthony Towns, the pressure is on him to win the championship. I mean, I think the pressure is on him to put you in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics for starters, but they're still the team to beat and very seriously.
Yeah. Well, let's pivot back to the NFL. Let's do some picks. Week 10, man.
It's crazy.
I believe I have a 4-point lead. I'm opening up a little lead on you, Joe. So
okay.
That's what the spreadsheet says.
Okay. So you picked up what, a game last week?
Picked up one game last week.
Okay.
So That's where we're at. Okay. Week 10. Here we are. Thursday Night Football. I like that we're actually picking it day of here with the show. Bengals, Ravens. Do you want to start or me? Why don't you start? Because I always make the pick.
Okay.
That's
What's the
fair.
spread? Where's the game?
It's a 6-point spread. It is in Baltimore. Quick reminder, that was an epic first game in Cincinnati. The Bengals basically had the game. Lamar fumbles it. The Bengals missed. They mishandled the kick in overtime. The Bengals basically blew the first game to even get it to overtime.
I don't think I'm gonna. I want to fade Ruther here, but so I'm trying to think about what you're gonna think. But I'm gonna make my pick, and I don't think I'm gonna end up fading you. I'm gonna take the Bengals to cover.
How can
I
you
think
not?
it's what's
How
that?
can you not? How can you not?
Yeah.
6 points, division game.
Mostly on a Thursday.
On a Thursday, I agree. I'm going to take the Bengals to cover. I think the Ravens win. The Ravens, this is the first year, at least in my recent memory, where they don't have a defense. The Bengals went up and down the field the first game. The Bengals offense is not really a problem this year. It's their defense. I think it's a high scoring game. The Ravens.
Now I'll fade Ruther and say, let's bet everybody bet the under.
52.5.
Bet the under, guys.
Okay.
26-22 Ravens. Bengals cover 48 points.
I'll just say it. And I know you already have your opinion on the Bengals for their season. They have this week and then they have next week at the Chargers, which has been flexed to Sunday Night Football. They have to win both games. They're 4-5.
Essentially, like realistically, what's their record right now?
They're 4-5.
Realistically, how many games can you lose the rest of the year?
Well, Burrow said it when they dropped to 3-5, and I agreed with Burrow. Burrow goes, we got to go 7-2 the rest of the way. We got to finish with 10 wins to make the playoffs.
And even that'll be like a borderline. Will 10 wins be borderline in the?
It'll be right there.
Yeah.
So
yes,
look,
they have to win the next 2 games. They also have to win the next 2 games after that. They have to win the next 2 games. They have to win all but 2 games the whole rest of the year for a puncher's chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, correct. And again, these are tough. I mean, back-to-back hardball weeks on the road. Prime time.
A lot of khakis.
Oh, yeah. Do you think when the Harbaugh brothers get together, are they talking football?
Yeah. What
you think they are? For
what do
sure.
you think they're talking about? Their feelings?
No, I'm not saying I think they're talking about their feelings, but are they?
I don't think they're I don't think they're locked in. I don't think they have film on.
No, I wasn't assuming they had film on. I wonder, are the Harbaugh brothers?
The family's like, do you want to sit down? Mom's like, you want to sit down and watch some home movies? And it's just the all 22 from both teams last games.
I guess what I'm saying is, are they talking about their teams? Are they talking about other teams, players, or are they just?
They're the kind of guys where, like, when they sit down for an interview, the 2 brothers together, they're like, we don't ever talk football. When we're together, we like to go fishing and not. And I'm like, bullshit. That might be the case for some, some brothers. But look at you two. What are you talking about? The Costco khaki prices?
I don't know. Like, are they talking politics? Are they talking any pop culture? Movie they saw? Oh, you see that TV? So like, I guess the bigger question is,
Jim, how's it going? Good. You? What do you think of that Chapel Roan?
I guess the question is, you'd probably agree with me, because I think I would argue most of these guys don't have anything outside of football. Like even a Sean McVay. Like, is Sean McVay aware of any shows on Netflix?
Yeah. Receiver. Quarterback.
I mean, this is their life. I always go back to that Nick Saban comment back to the 2016 election when he said he didn't know who won, which by the way, I think is bullshit. But he didn't know who won for like a day or two.
Yeah. He knows today who won.
What? Because he's not coaching?
Yeah, and also it was Donald Trump. It's hard to miss.
Yeah, but 2016 was Donald Trump. That's my point.
Yeah.
He like I don't know the Bill Belichick thing, to kind of pivot into this conversation with that, like the whole thing is, it's so funny to me. People are like, oh, look at Bill out here enjoying life and out here, like it's almost like an animal that's been kept in captivity and you release them to the wild. We're like, wow, look at him on a date with his 4-year-old girlfriend. Look at that. Look at him smiling. He's at the beach acting like a fisherman. Look at him being a human.
What's weird as a guy from Cincinnati, a guy in Cincinnati, is that Harambe was essentially killed for doing exactly what Bill Belichick is doing. Like, gets off leash, grabs a kid, starts swinging her around. They were like, shoot Harambe.
Well, you didn't have to bring up that black eye in my city, that injustice. I see you, buddy, up there. I see you, Harambe. Okay, so we're both going to take the...
They're shooting the apes. Look at Ruther going Serenity now.
Terrible day. But thanks for reminding me, because we have a family zoo pass, which we've only used once. So I need to get my money's worth for that Cincinnati zoo pass. Okay, we both take the Bengals. We think it's going to be a close game. And basically the Bengals got to win. I do want to say something about the Ravens. I don't believe, unless they turn it around defensively, I just don't believe enough in this team because of their defense. And I was shocked at the trade deadline. They went for another receiver, which they don't need. The defense is pretty sus. So, all right. Moving along. Wow, look at this. Look at this. A couple of 2-7 teams that the Bengals actually have beaten. That's all they've beaten is 2-7 teams. The Giants, Panthers, your team. Oh, it's in Munich.
This is the worst thing that Germany's ever done. It's not even close. This is the worst. Giants, Panthers in Munich is the worst thing that Germany is responsible for in the history of mankind.
Does Germany get a Daniel Jones, Bryce Young battle? Is that what we're looking at here?
Yep. Couple 2-7 teams.
Okay, we have a
this game. If whoever loses the 2-7 battle between the Giants and Panthers in Germany should immediately jump to 9 losses. It should be worth double. You're like, are you guys 2-8? It's actually no, we're 2-9.
That was a Filipowski-esque joke right there. Remember, he used to have a 9 joke. Well, I'm up first, and it is a big spread for your Giants. They're 6.5-point favorites.
That's crazy.
I hate to do this, but I'm gonna take the Panthers. They're gonna just eat up Bryce Young. They're gonna have 6 sacks on him or something insane. But I'm gonna take the Panthers to cover.
I do think that the Giants win the game, and I do think they win the game for that reason. And I'm gonna take the Giants, and you know why I'm gonna take the Giants? Because they shouldn't want to win this game. What the fuck are we? What are you guys gonna? Why are you gonna try to win this game? No one will even care. It'll happen at 6 a.m. in Germany. People have been ignoring atrocities in Germany for a century. Until this game takes Poland I don't think anybody's even going to talk about it. Just lose this game. But the Giants aren't that smart.
This is a cool looking stadium.
The Giants can't even fucking tank right, which is ironic because you know who was great with tanks?
Germans.
That's right.
Il Blitzkrieg, man.
Yeah.
Have you been to Munich? I've been to Munich.
I have not been to Munich. I've been in the Munich airport.
Yeah, I've been to Munich. Had a good time there. Unfortunately was not there for Oktoberfest. But
I would like to go. I would like to go to Oktoberfest. That would be fun.
In fact, I was there around this time.
Wow.
It was November.
Novemberfest.
It was like November 2002. I believe the weekend after the Thanksgiving holiday, which obviously they don't celebrate over there. Fun fact, I booked our stay for me and my buddies when we go on trips. When we were abroad, we'd say, okay, you're in charge of Paris, book the whatever, hostel, hotel. You're in charge of Rome. I was in charge of Munich. Had no clue at the time. Booked our hotel in the middle of a red light district in Munich. So,
wow.
We were on the same street of strip clubs and whorehouses.
All the frat boys were like, "Good job, Andy." You're like, I didn't even know.
Oh yeah, my one buddy, he I still don't know if he got the hookers because we went into one and we all left and he had a bunch of girls around him and I don't know what happened, but every time we went to the strip club and anytime I hear Mariah Carey's, I know you're gonna laugh at this. The like slow song Rain. Do you know that song?
I mean, I'm sure I do, but
I
couldn't hum it for you right now.
I always think of this stripper because she was dancing to it. It was an interesting choice in Munich.
I love that you were like, she was dancing to it. I was like, because her name was Rain.
No, but that would have been, I don't know what Rain is in German.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I met a stripper once whose name was All I Want for Christmas Is You. And I was like, that's wild. What are we doing here?
Bro, names are wild now. I always like looking at the names at daycare. And obviously we got to come up with the name because we got a kid around the corner. And I'm just like, man, names are wild now. And
are we leaning toward anything?
I was asked last week, there's a notes list of names on our phones that we share. And she keeps cutting it down without asking my approval. I looked actually before, so I think we're down like 4 or 5 names, but I actually don't want to say any. But I don't really have a strong preference. Poor kid number 2. We'll figure it out. All right. Bears and Patriots. Man, the Bears, everybody was riding high. They've lost 2 straight. They're 4-4. Patriots are 2-7. This one's in Chicago. Chicago's a 6.5-point favorite. You're up first.
I'll take the Patriots.
I agree. I'm going to take the Patriots.
I like the little something I saw out of Drake May last week.
You know, I haven't seen enough out of that offense for the Bears.
Yeah.
To warrant a 7-point win. Even though the Patriots
just feels like a sloppy, messy defensive game.
Yeah.
6.5 seems too much.
I agree. All right. Bills, Colts. Bills can go to 8-2 if they get a dub.
Mm-hmm.
This one will be in Indy. Buffalo's a 4-point favorite. Man, the Colts just couldn't do anything offensively last week. I'm going to take the Colts to cover.
Ooh, wow. I'm not. I'm going to take the Bills to cover.
I think it's going to be a close game, and I think them being at home helps.
Huh. Interesting. I feel like this was like the Bills played the close. I feel like they got their Dolphins scare. I'm going to predict a Bills blowout.
Okay, what happened? I'll wait till we get to the Dolphins for that one. For that question, because you mentioned the Dolphins. You think a Bills blowout?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Bills have been playing a lot of close games, haven't they?
I agree. Yeah. So
Okay.
then the question becomes: you just said they could go to 8-2. Do the Bills lose this game, or do the Bills blow out the Colts?
Mm.
I don't think it's a 3-point football game.
Yeah. I'm more leaning towards they lose this game.
Wow. Okay.
All right, Broncos Chiefs. Again, Joe, we got a big spread here. This one's in Arrowhead. The Chiefs are 8-point favorites.
It's tough. Chiefs aren't blowing a lot of teams out.
No, they're not. The Broncos, I took them to cover the spread last week against you. I took them in my pick 6 league. They just got manhandled. That defense laid an egg against the Ravens. And this one's the division game, obviously. 8's a lot.
It's a lot. It's right there. If it was 6, I would take the Chiefs.
Short
You know
week, too, for the Chiefs.
8's too much. I'll take the Broncos.
I'm not going to bet on the Broncos this week. They pissed me off that much last week. I'm willing to lose a point. I'm going to take the
God
Chiefs.
damn it. I would have liked this to be the other way.
And we haven't talked about Jason Kelce slamming that fan's phone down.
Greatest thing ever.
Everybody gets caught up on the language used.
The language used was him repeating something somebody said to him.
Which is what I was going to say, is one. And two.
I am very, I'm very progressive in terms of my love of the gay community. I haven't seen a gay person be upset about it.
Well, I can't speak on that because I haven't seen much on that. I agree. I've seen some, I've seen responses. He was obviously reiterating what somebody said to him. But what I was going to say was, to me, the big win here is don't talk shit to a Hall of Fame football player. Don't talk shit to athletes. Bless you. Don't walk up to celebrities, whatever it is, these people now, because they want to get their viral moments, just want to talk that's what's going to happen.
But I have so many thoughts about this, but are you getting your viral moment? Let's say Jason Kelce just keeps walking. Can you put on TikTok you screaming a homophobic slur at Jason Kelce who walks by for views? Is that a view getter?
Yeah.
I don't know if it is.
I think sadly it is.
And listen,
I think it is.
Let me be very clear about a couple things. I was very critical of Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift. I said, and I stand by, kind of pathetic for Travis Kelce to date down physically for money. That being said, dating Taylor Swift, if you're Travis Kelce, makes you a lot of things. It doesn't make you gay. It's a terrible, the whole thing was.
But I don't think the slur is used here. It's not used that saying he's actually gay. Right? They're just using it as like you saying to your buddy, stop being gay.
Yeah, but haven't we?
Right? I mean, right? Isn't that how he's
I feel like that's like a 15-year-old. And I don't mean for 15-year-olds. I mean, I feel like we are 15 years from that being the go-to thing for that. I feel like we've.
Well, I agree.
Right. So I'm wondering if if a millennial kid or a Gen Z really using that term, was that a Joe Prano, Andy Ruther middle school aged F-bomb? Where you go to where you and your boys all roll up to the late night McDonald's window and you all get Big Macs, and the one dude's like, I'll just do the Caesar rap? And you're like, you fag.
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, because you're right. It's not.
It's like those days feel behind us a little
I
bit
agree.
to
I
the
agree.
point where it's like, what are you real? Like, what's your point here, bro? It was just loser shit. Honestly, if you were going to use this slur to describe anything, it would have been Jason Kelce apologizing. I never would have apologized for that. No one was against you.
Yeah, I
The
didn't like.
whole world was
I
on
didn't
your
like that
side.
I didn't like that he apologized either.
The whole world was on your side. You didn't need to apologize.
And just to have the video is great of him slamming down.
The only thing I would have done differently
phone.
if I was him too, when a receiver catches a big touchdown and they just chuck the ball into the stands, that's what I would have done if I was Jason Kelce. I would have just been like, forget the slam and the grab. Although the slam and grab was pretty cool, I would have just grabbed it and just fired it. It was just like gone out into the distance, like when Superman like throws a dude away, and you're just like, well, he's going out to fucking space.
But it's also weird to like attack somebody for who their brother's dating.
Yeah.
Like he's not dating Taylor Swift. It's his brother.
Yeah.
It's just an odd thing to attack somebody on.
I'm just assuming the kid who did that, was fired up after watching his like Andrew Tate morning fucking pump up video. Just like, remember, if you date girls, you're gay. Wait, what?
I think that I do think what I said. I think it was trying to be viral. I mean, look, this isn't anything new. Look at the kids going up to Cam Newton, or name it. Like these kids think they can just go up to somebody. Kids need to get their ass kicked. I mean, imagine if Kelce jacked him.
Well, that's why I think it was a great response, because he didn't do that.
Yeah.
He was like, and your phone is smashed, and I'm taking it. What
All
he
right.
should have, if he wanted to use that slur, he should have mentioned the tush push. That's what he should have done.
All right, Saints Falcons. I'm up. This one's in New Orleans. Saints are 3.5-point underdogs at home. That half-point hook is tough. If it was 2.5, I'd really definitely take Atlanta. The Saints are not good right now, though. We had our great Derek Carr debate last episode. It's like, do I then take the Saints? Half point. Do they keep it close? The Falcons to me. What's that? Yeah, new coach.
Interim coach juice.
I forgot about that. Thanks. Okay. You actually helped me with this. I'm going to take the Saints to cover.
I'm going to take the Falcons.
You fucker. You got me there. You got me. I was like, yeah, new coach energy. Damn. Okay, Bucks 49ers. San Francisco is a 6-point favorite. Wait, what? San Francisco is a 6-point favorite in Tampa.
In Tampa?
Is there something we're missing here?
Christian McCaffrey being back?
Is he back?
They are projecting he could play Sunday.
He's listed as questionable.
Yeah. It's a wild fucking move here, but I'll take the Niners to cover if Christian McCaffrey's back.
I don't even care if he's back. That is a wild move, I think. I'm for sure taking the Bucks to cover. All right, battle of a couple 2-loss teams. This could be a fun game, has potential. Steelers, Commanders. This one's in Washington, and Washington's a 2.5-point favorite. I am going to take the Steelers to not only cover, but win the game.
I'm with you. feels a little early for the Commanders and Jaden Daniels to like roll into the playoffs at 13-4 or whatever.
And you're also getting the Steelers defense.
Yeah.
And TJ Watt.
Yeah.
And it's a different animal. All right, Vikings, Jags. Minnesota's a 6.5-point favorite in Jacksonville. What say you, Mr. Prano?
What says me is I would very much be taking the Jaguars had I not heard the name CJ Beathard.
Oh, is Beathard starting?
CJ Beathard. I don't know if he's starting, but he's in the building.
He's beating it hard in that building.
I'm going to take the Vikings to beat the Jaguars hard.
I wish I had some more time to sit on this game, but I don't. I will take the Vikings as well, actually. All right, Titans, Chargers. This one is in LA. Titans got their second dub last week.
A lot of Titans fans going to be there.
A lot of time. Alex from Kentucky will be making the trip to Inglewood.
Every time somebody plays the Chargers or the Rams, because it's LA, people go, a lot of Chiefs fans going to be there. Place is going to be full of Niners fans. Place will not be full of Titans fans.
No.
Those people do not exist.
No. In fact, I don't think Alex from Kentucky exists anymore.
I don't think so either. I think Alex from Kentucky is like a Jesse Stenga character. He's just like, oh, and we're just like too dumb to have noticed somebody like slightly change their voice into some cartoon. Oh.
Well,
just Jesse Stenga doing Spanish Gus Johnson as a Titans fan.
Well, the Titans.
Ay, Dios mío.
Chargers are big favorites, and that's fine. They're 7.5-point favorites. I'm taking the Chargers.
Yep. Chargers are lurking, right?
Well, if they win, they go to 6-3. But we talk about the playoffs early, right? It's like as far as like how many wins some of these other teams need. It's like, I think you're gonna have to get 10 wins. Eagles, Cowboys. Big spread here. It's back to Cooper Rush, which they went 4-1 with him as a starter.
No, I know.
So it's like
Beergate happened with Cooper Rush on the field at MetLife.
Yeah, it's like he's a very good backup, which, side note, Trey Lance is QB3. I mean, he's not even QB2. That's where Trey Lance is at in his career. Eagles are 7-point favorites in Dallas. You're up first. That's a big spread.
I'll take Dallas.
God, they burned me last week. I'm pulling up the injury report.
I think it's one of those situations, you brought up the Cooper Rush thing, where it's like the Cowboys aren't fucking good.
No.
The Cowboys are one of those teams, not just currently, but historically, that like you're bad, but you act like you're good. Even being bad, you act like you're good. Where you go out and you're like, why do we have to change anything? What we should just do? We're talented. Let's just win. Let's just do what we do. And now you have Cooper Rush, and you're gonna dial back the playbook, keep it simple, and I think that helps you.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Cowboys cover as well. I think it's gonna be a tough game. I think the Eagles win. I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. Jets, Cardinals. Here's again, Joe, head scratching on this spread. Am I missing something?
Jets are favored.
Jets are favored in Arizona, 1.5.
Yeah.
Cardinals have looked pretty. Like nobody projected this start for them.
No. This is the second week in a row. Like I didn't understand the Jets being favored over the Texans.
And they won that game, and they did cover.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Cardinals.
I'm taking the Cardinals too. I'm not losing a point on the Jets. Also, if you play the Vegas odds, like I didn't understand it last week. I don't understand it this week. Last week I was wrong. This week I'm not wrong again. The odds say the other way around. So I'll take the Cardinals.
Yeah. Sunday night, we got a pretty good one. Lions, Texans. Lions are 3.5-point favorites.
Feels like it should be bigger. Where's the game?
It's in Houston. Houston's coming off a 10-day layoff. They last played a Thursday night game. I mean, that yeah, it's you. I'm sure you're thinking the same thing. I'm thinking that half point.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texans. It feels like it should be bigger, and that's why I'm going to take the Texans.
I'm taking the Texans for that half point. The Lions have been crushing teams. They whooped Green Bay's ass.
Well, Andy, listen, I'm on a time crunch here, so I'll check out, and then for the next 15 minutes, you can explain to people why you don't believe that the Lions are going to boat race this Texans team. What do they have to show you? Jared Goff is completing 140% of his passes. That's not even that prior to Jared Goff, that wasn't possible. 100% used to be the most. Jared Goff is completing 2 passes for every attempt. And you don't believe? And they have grit. It's like you don't care. It's like you're like out here being wrong.
I think it's going to be a great game. In fact, I don't know who wins this game, but I'm going to pick the Texans to cover as well. All right, your Monday night game, man, they got to flex some of these games out. I do not want to see the Dolphins. The Dolphins travel to Inglewood. Will there be a bunch of Dolphins fans there? Probably not either. The away team's not getting fans into SoFi.
Well, the NFL, we're like into the second half of the season. Dog shit Monday night game. And the whole world is going, NFL, do you think you should do something about that? And they're like, let us answer your question by showing you this Wingstop commercial for the 4 millionth time. No flex zone. No flex zone. I do not understand that commercial, nor will I ever understand that commercial. In this Wingstop, let me understand this. Let me understand you tell me if I understand this commercial. So, black family playing Jenga, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
During Jenga, the polite thing to do is be quiet while the other person is making their turn. But in this family, the daughters, they're being a little spicy. And what they're doing is they are putting Wingstop wings near their mouth while their dad's turn is up, which of course cues the song No Flex Zone to be played throughout the house. Do they have some sort of secret black Alexa where if you hold a wing near your mouth, it plays No Flex Zone, and then when you take a wing away from your mouth, it stops playing No Flex Zone? Explain this commercial to somebody. Had to write this commercial.
I've never understood it either. I'm just happy they did open a Wingstop. They're not really big out here, and they opened one by me, so I'm excited about that. I have not gone yet. I'm a fan of Wingstop, for the record.
I've never had a Wingstop.
I used to go to it occasionally in California.
Where was it?
Well, a lot of them, they have a dual Wingstop Fat Burger.
Oh, I thought it was dual Wingstop Pizza Hut, or is that different?
No, you're thinking of Pizza Hut,
Street.
Taco Bell, Pizza Hut.
Is there a Wing Street?
Am I wrong? Was it Wing Street that I'd be getting?
I don't know. Wingstop. Were you getting Wing Street? I feel like Pizza Hut Wing Street combos are a thing.
No, it's Fat
Burger Wingstop.
What was I get?
You might have been getting Wingstop. I have no idea where. Where's the closest Fat Burger to you in Venice? Venice Boulevard and like Sepulveda or whatever.
No, they put
a
yeah, but then there's also a Fat Burger on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Okay.
Near not Santa Monica Boulevard. Where's the? I'm losing Lincoln. I'm losing my mind. Oh, now it's Buffalo's Express. You're right. So it was not a Wingstop,
Okay.
which must have formerly been, what'd you call it?
Wing Street?
Yeah, it must have been Wing Street, which is now Buffalo's Express. So that they had a combo there on Lincoln Boulevard, kind of near where you get off the 10.
Got it.
Lincoln and Santa Monica. Anyway, I used to occasionally go there. Anyway, I take back everything I said. I have had Wingstop a few times, but now I feel everything I said is invalidated because I was not going to the right combo. Anyway, don't know the commercial. I don't even know how we're on this because you brought it up because
This commercial haunts me.
Well,
And he's like, stop eating the wings. I'm trying to play the game. Every time you go to put the wing in your mouth, no flex zone place.
I think you're up first. Rams are 1-point favorites.
I'll take the Rams.
I'm going to take the Rams as well. All right, and those are our picks. I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch today, so we got to get out of here, but give us a ring. The hotline number is same as it's always been, 310-359-8365.
I will be in San Francisco tonight and tomorrow. One of my shows tomorrow was canceled. The Purple Onion is renovating. So tonight I'll be at Cheaper Than Therapy, great independent comedy theater in San Francisco. Tonight, Thursday, Cheaper Than Therapy, San Francisco. Tomorrow, the Setup, which is now at the Palace Theater in San Francisco. Tomorrow at 9:00, the Palace Theater. You've done the Setup. We that's where you got drunk on kombucha.
I did not get drunk.
And that used to be in the great little beer basement.
Yeah.
We had a couple dirt balls come out to that. They've since grown, and it's now in a little theater. So tomorrow night, Palace Theater, the Setup Speakeasy show. Come see that. Follow me on Twitter at Fix Your Life or all other social media at Joe Prano. Shout out to all the people who have been taking that free subscription on Substack to my page. Please continue to subscribe to that. Even the free option, going to be putting some more free stuff out. So thank you, and I'll hopefully see you guys at the show. No flex zone.
Cool. All right, guys. You know where to follow me, Andy Ruther. That's the show. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. And as always, stay dirty.